Me and my GF cancelled our wedding because of my family. Are we wrong for feeling like our feelings don't matter? My GF and I were planning our wedding for next Oct, when all of a sudden her mom unexpectedly passed away. Her father is passed also, but she and he didn't talk since she was a child. After several stressful weeks she told me that she couldn't bear the thought of carrying around the grief of her mom not being at our wedding for a whole year. Also, the price was snowballing and we never wanted to do anything big, since it was both of our second marriage. So, we scrapped those plans and scaled it way back to this October and we're going to get married on a Friday at AA courthouse. We told my parents and then told them we were going to call my sisters. They are 37-year-old twins. I called sister 1 and left her a voicemail to call me back. I call sister 2 and she answers and we talk and I tell her the plans and she's happy for us. I ask her has she talked to sister 1 and she said she has not, but if she doesn't answer the phone she usually texts her to call her back. So I did. The night went by and I never heard back from sister 1, until all of a sudden I get a text from her. I can't go to any of it, it's my weekend to work, I work at 5 AM on my weekends now and get up at 3 AM to go in. I need to be bed by 9 PM at the latest. No, I can't switch weekends. My schedule is out through November, if I would have known before schedule out I could have possibly traded. I work every fourth weekend and it never changes. Apparently it's not important to you have your family there anyways. You know both of your sisters work in healthcare. We knew it being short notice and some people may not want to take kids out of school, we tried to make it an all-day thing. Wedding in the afternoon. Lunch/early dinner after. Dessert/drinks at our house that night. We tried to make it so hopefully people could come to all or at least something to celebrate with us. I called my mom and asked her if she told sister 1 and she played dumb, I don't know, my phone has been ringing all night, I'm not sure who I told, etc. Later that night, sister 1's husband texted and said, don't worry about what sister 1, says they'll be there. My GF is now pissed that my mom told sister 1 the plans before we had a chance to. Pissed at how sister 1 acted/responded before we had a chance to explain to her why we decided to do it this way. And now she's pissed that she thinks sister 1 is coming. GF barely slept that night and she wanted to talk to both my mom and sister 1 and tell them how she upset them. She texted sister 1 and asked her to call her that night. Then she called my mom. I'm not really sure what was said on the call, but GF calls me afterwards and said that it didn't go well. Then sister 1 texted a couple hours later. Her husband, nor her, will be involved in any drama. Our life is too chaotic as it is and we literally have minimal free time. I call my mom and ask her why did she tell sister 1? Why didn't she just let us tell her? She goes on this whole tirade about how sister 1 has issues and doesn't take change well and she was trying to protect her. I asked, protect her from what? Her brother telling her that he's getting married and giving her the plans. My dad gets on the phone and tells me to stop harassing my mom. I texted my mom later that night and told her that she did this, she needs to fix it. She can't just sweep it under the rug and expect it to go away. My parents text us later on that night and basically accuse my GF and I of trying to divide the family. No one has ever said anything to sister 1 on her behavior or how she acted. The only ones were my GF and I. When all we tried to do was create a day for the family to be together. So, my GF and I made the decision to cancel our wedding plans due to all the drama. I have tried to talk to my parents a couple times since then but it doesn't go well. They just want to move on and not dwell on the past. My GF and my parents haven't talked since and I don't know when/if they ever will. I still have not talked to sister 1. I am so ashamed and embarrassed of my family and how they acted. I am hurt by my parents and just so mad at my sister. The sad thing about all of this, is before this, my mom and GF got along so well. They would go shopping together. My GF would see things while we were out and buy them for my mom. When my mom had her surgery, my GF would buy her comfy shirts and stuff to make sure had cute things to wear. I just feel like now all of a sudden that doesn't matter. We are just being accused of dividing the family. I feel like I am living in a crazy world where everyone else is trying to make our marriage about them instead of my GF and I. Comment. The entire point of this courthouse ceremony was for it not to be a big deal, right? So how on earth did it turn into this? Who cares who told sister 1 what? All you needed from her was a yes or no answer on whether she was attending. If she decided to get snippy about it, that should have stayed her problem. I have no idea how or why your mom and girlfriend ended up mad at each other over it, but someone needs to take several deep breaths and start over before this completely unnecessary rip calcifies into a full-out family feud. At the very least, uncancel the darn ceremony unless you're rethinking the marriage until you and your fiancé confirm you're capable of communicating better with each other than anyone else in this mess, which I honestly support. Kind of understand Sister 1, though she did react badly. I work in a healthcare type setting and have a weird but mostly set schedule. I made sure everyone knew my schedule. My family constantly tries to plan things during my work times and then gets mad at me like my schedule is secret. I'm constantly reminding them that I can't just change my schedule without weeks to months notice, an act of God, and more luck than I have ever been in possession of. Oh yeah, she overreacted? I just couldn't help imagining my own situation in it because at this point, I get mad at times. They make plans and expect me to show. I literally put my schedule in all their phones so they know when I work. So now, when they make their plans and pressure me to make the time and I don't always respond graciously. At this point, it's like, Jesus, Mary and Joseph, how hard is it to look at the calendar and see if I'm available? When I make plans, I consider everyone's schedule and do the work to make the plan accessible, and if someone can't make it, I understand instead of guilting them. Anyway, that's my rant. I do a lot of the invisible work, and when they slap together a plan without even considering me, then make me the bad guy by not turning everyone's lives upside down at work to accommodate their whims. I think you're forgetting that GF is grieving the death of her mother right now. Then Sister 1 overreacted in a way that made those relationships feel threatened. You can't expect GF to be entirely rational right now. Up probably should have tried to de-escalate by telling GF that they'd handle their family, but I can understand that GF and mom had a good relationship where they normally could have handled it themselves. Grief is wicked. My now husband and I got engaged very shortly after I lost my father very unexpectedly, and while I have zero regrets about our decision to get engaged then, I do wish that I had been a bit further along in my own grieving before I started talking about wedding planning with his family. Not because they weren't excited for us, not because they weren't respectful of any and all decisions we wanted for our wedding, but because those conversations would almost always end up with me realizing that was this huge life moment that was just shining a massive light on my father's absence. I didn't want to hear well-intentioned advice from my Sil about her own wedding because she had her dad there to walk her down the aisle. I didn't want to hear my husband talk about going tux shopping with his dad, because mine was dead. And I definitely didn't want to hear about how excited my Mill was, because my own mom had just lost the love of her life and was a shell of a person. So every single wedding conversation with them just ended up with me feeling more and more frustrated and upset by every little thing, despite how supportive and loving they were along the way. Is it possible that is what your fiancé is experiencing now? Next story 2. My boyfriend says being in bed with his friend was a prank. I got mad and moved out of state within days. Now what? I'm mentally exhausted. After almost 2 years together, many promises and dreams of a life together, I caught my boyfriend Bryce in bed with his female friend, Katie. It doesn't matter how many sacrifices I made to keep the relationship going, how many things I did to help him, in the end, he both tried to sabotage my success and my self-esteem. I come from a business and tech background. I didn't devote to years of education to sit and wait for things to fall on my lap. I've been grinding for years, knocking on doors, missing out on celebrations because I had conference calls. I don't even recall having a real Saturday night to myself. I'm not complaining, it's just the way it is. I've had my challenges. I suffer from fatigue and mild bronchial issues that are finally healing after years of not feeling like myself. I'm also very short, so gaining weight did me no favors. Everything fell into place. I got a good job with high pay and my side gig in consulting became my flagship company. I never left my job because of the associated stability, but hired a company to manage my business instead. Without getting into too much detail, I've been investing in my project and getting corporate partnerships. I made adjustments and invested out of my own pocket until several companies showed interest in offering financing/investment. After this, the money I was investing is now being put aside for my family. I don't need too much to live. Naturally, I gave myself some things that I needed. I got dental work that boosted my confidence, natural pearly, not extreme white teeth. I've gotten some cosmetic procedures done and started getting therapeutic massage every week. I've done everything I could to help him. He wanted to start a cafeteria, so I started looking for permits. He wanted to own a small bistro, so I went to find the ideal chef who wouldn't charge too expensively. He wanted a clothing store, so I sent time aside to help him find the supplier. In all this, the common denominator is that he never followed up. I got fed up. And I was clear that I wouldn't spend my own money because of certain risk factors, including his lack of knowledge. I moved in with him when things were still good, but eventually moved out because I got very uncomfortable. His friend Katie would use my stuff and he wouldn't say anything. I was still on a budget, and while I agreed on a 50-50 arrangement, the amount of unexpected expenses was exasperating. I ended up paying 80 to 85% of stuff and I felt anxious. I moved out and I know he wasn't happy, but I need to think about myself. Also, this didn't really damage our relationship. We still had good communication as he spent time at my new place. The negative changes began later. He would create distractions just when I needed to focus on paperwork. I ended up deciding that I couldn't tell him when I was gonna be working on my project financing because he would show up, create noise and simply try to divert me from what I needed to do. His complaints about the attention I gave to my work became unbearable. After a daunting period, I was finally able to leave my job to focus on funding. Everything got pretty intense, but he never showed interest nor support when he saw that I was too tired and couldn't walk into the shower. He would buy pizza for himself and eat everything without even asking if I was hungry. I began to feel really unloved. Last Friday, I got confirmation that everything went through and my project is getting completely financed via hybrid capital. It felt weird. I didn't even cry or jump for joy. I think I was just static. Painful, but I didn't feel like telling Bryce because I knew he would say something hurtful, or ask me for something. And from all the ways that I envisioned a celebration, I actually didn't do anything. He and I talked and he sounded weird. It just gave me a very weird vibe. I went to see him, his roommate let me in, and I found him with Katie under covers. He said it was a joke. They were fully dressed, but I just don't believe it was a prank. And if it was, putting me under stress and hurting me emotionally does nothing for the relationship. He knows that I don't like her and he knows that I never trusted her, yet he did that. I left and cried in my car driving around for hours. I can operate my business from anywhere, same with my new project. I don't know if I did the right thing, but I packed my stuff and sent it over to my family's home and cancelled all my local bills because I'm leaving. Right now I'm at the train station because my stress is really bad and I can't hop on a plane right now. I don't even know what to do, buy a sleep train ticket or what. I don't see hotels nearby, but I just want to cut myself loose from him. I didn't deserve this. My pets have already been transported. I just feel blurry and confused. It's them being fully dressed that confuses me, but again, who does that? I'm just looking for words of encouragement and some tips as to what to do next. I'm at the station with only a backpack but feel like I'm stuck. I definitely can't take the road as I'm hurt and not thinking too well. A train is best, but I'm doubtful. I have my medicines but don't know if there will be enough food. Comment. Read back over your post again, repeatedly if you need to, until it sinks in that you weren't actually with a man, but a fucking man-child. You've literally done everything for him apart from wipe his ass. Tell we trashy Katie she's welcome to him and good luck to her for dealing with his bullshit. Honestly op, you've had a lucky escape. I get that it's hurtful, but that wasn't a healthy, adult relationship. Move on and count your blessings that you can now find someone that is there for you and not for what you can do for them. Best of luck to you. You got this. He was using you for money and Katie was using your stuff because he didn't want to hurt her feelings. He sabotaged you because he was jealous of your success, that's why he punished you with all those distractions. Remove him from your life permanently. You need someone on your level. Bryce sounds like a loser. Is there a loved one you can talk to? I don't see how it's a prank either, regardless if it somehow was. That's beyond immature and hurtful. Haha, I made you think I cheated on you. Where is the joke there? It's just cruel. He's been a dead weight on you for far too long. Cut contact, keep focusing on you, do right by you. There are better men in the world.